Welcome back, friends. Now we are again moving towards a very interesting section and would be looking towards IMC with reference to being a strategic tool, because we are moving ahead with a perspective to look into IMC as something which contributes in the development of a brand, formation of a brand, establishment of a brand, and so on, starting from developing a brand image and so on. Now, but before that, and since we have talked about consumer behavior, IMC broadly, and then budgeting also, objectives also. So now let's look at how integrated marketing communication works as a strategic tool. And when I say strategic tool, it's interesting. There are two elements when we talk about strategy. One is the role of IMC as a strategic tool in the life of a product, an organization, service, or whichever purpose it is designated to solve. It follows and carries itself along its purpose, carries along throughout the life cycle of the organization many a times. By the way, I cannot refrain from mentioning Air India. You see, Mr. Ratan Tata has said, "Welcome back, Air India." And I would be talking about integrated marketing communication related to Air India later on, but just to mention, because today is 9th of October, yesterday the decision was taken and Tatas would be managing Air India now. They have taken it back, or it has been sold to them. So, and if you will look into the integrated marketing communication related to Air India, since its inception, you would realize that that positioning which integrated marketing communication of this organization established in the minds of the customer, it still remains. It is a dependable carrier. It has always been. It has played a very important role being an airlines, and it has gone through several kinds of phases to remember, and now it would be rejuvenating itself with a different kind of a growth trajectory, hopefully. So, just to mention, and I'll be coming back to similar kind of a subject later on as well. So, you see, IMC goes along as far as the strategy of an organization or the vision of an organization, or every element which organization has in terms of production operations, in coherence with the projected sales, in coherence with the human resource development and so on. And then you may say that we can look at IMC as an integrated part of the holistic marketing framework which has been explained in marketing books. I will not be elaborating that, but because that might be a digression, but just remember that it goes along with the organization and the product for a longer time. The second element is related to IMC strategy itself. That means, what is the strategy related to the communication which we desire for our customers. So, I will be taking you along these two, but first I would be focusing upon IMC as a strategic tool, and let us understand this perspective. You see, when we look at IMC as a strategic tool, we acknowledge that it works for driving the product or a service for a long term, and that is what we would be focusing upon for next few minutes. And to give you a clearer picture, I have slightly tried an experimental kind of a thing for you, that I wish to generate few scenarios here, and those are very evident. So I thought that because I have been motivating you to go for visiting YouTube and other sources of advertisements and messages, and try and find coherence with those messages with the products and services and organizations and so on. That is why I thought that I should be dividing our discussion on IMC as a strategic tool into some scenarios. And because IMC is related clearly to the life cycle of the product or the vision of an organization where it wants to go, so it can be categorized, this discussion can be categorized with reference to 3-4 elements. One, let us focus on products. How IMC is working as a strategic tool for products, for example. Now, let us choose some examples to elaborate this element. Remember the launch of Scorpio? When this product came in, India was in initial most phases of having this kind of an SUV on roads, wherein almost everyone could look at this SUV as a car and a sports utility vehicle. So it is giving you almost both the comforts, but their positioning definitely was of an SUV. Their designing context was definitely there, but I would not be elaborating upon that, and I just want to draw your attention towards the communications they made, the kind of communication they developed for the customers. They wanted to reach the customer with the perspective that they are they are putting up a product with an international outlook, with standards which are global, with comfort which definitely is enjoyed by almost any customer in this world, with features which are up to the mark as far as the global standards go. That is what they were trying for. Pricing, they rationalized a lot, and we have talked about the relationship of integrated marketing communication with the 3 Ps. So, you remember that session, or you may revisit that session once again, and you would realize that it was a very rational pricing which was introduced. But how to project that? So, just go for initial advertisements which Scorpio came up with, and you would realize that you see they positioned the storyboard of those advertisements, they positioned their vehicle with international outlook and an element of Indian choices or Indian preferences associated with that kind of with this vehicle. Then they gave a specific outlook to their retail outlets also. They came up with similar kinds of events in coherence with whatever they wanted to tell the Indian customer, that this SUV is for everyone, not specific people, not the off-roaders only, or some specific category of professions or whichever. This can be liked by almost everyone. Middle income group who wants to go long drives with their families, or people who want to use it as an urban car or a vehicle, people who live in semi-rural areas or rural areas. So, they wanted to make up a footprint almost everywhere, and that is where they tried to put up this kind of a communication all through. Scotch Brite is used by everyone, we all know that. How did they position it? They simply position it by showing a normal household using Scotch Brite. Whichever advertisements you watch as far as Scotch Brite goes, you would realize that they are touching the hearts of every person basically, and they increase their presence in the market all through, and their points of purchases are also connected to what they are projecting in their mass advertising, or let us say whichever way they are reaching to the customer. And they are explicit in suggesting the pricing and the usage and where do they belong to. And you see, this is one of those intelligent marketing examples or integrated marketing communication example which tell us that how to democratize whole of the market basically, regardless of the kind of categorization in terms of demographies or let us say specifically income if you want to point at it and so on. You remember iPod? It was a magical product actually. It basically when it was launched, music in your fist, kind of you just had a small ticket stamp kind of an equipment and you are just listening to music, so many songs inside that. Apple launched it with so much of passion and the kind of messages they produced about that kind of particular product, the coherence they build up through their outlets, their sales force, their verbal communication, their internet based communication, all through in coherence with that, and that established Apple with reference to being a, I would not say music company, but a company which definitely takes music to their customers. And that is where a new kind of a trajectory came into being as far as Apple goes. So, you see, IMC initiated a specific positioning about the product which the organization wanted to have in the minds of the customer, but that image, that positioning organization wanted for a very, very long time all through the life cycle, and we are finding that it has happened basically. It has been used by these products as a strategic tool because it is accompanying that initial message or integrated communication is accompanying the image of that product all through till now. There are several such examples. Calpol, paracetamol. What do you ask for when you go to a retail shop, a medicine shop? Calpol, paracetamol, Calpol, calcium, Sandoz, Anacin. Remember? So, all these names over the counter drugs, they specifically addressed to the need of the customer, and one message, one initial focus, right focus with the right objectives goes along and for a long way with the product. You would realize that many organizations, they do not even change their original messages for n number of years, and I have been repeatedly talking about Nirma, and you would that jingle is going along and long and long and so on. Vicks ki goli lo, khich khich dur karo. Vicks has been talking about Vicks ki goli lo, khich khich dur karo. I am a very bad singer, so do not bother about how I sing in front of you, but several people used to sing this jingle kind of Vicks ki goli lo, khich khich dur karo. Whenever the season used to change, people used to hum that in their homes actually, and that Vicks ki goli lo, khich khich dur karo is following Vicks all through. That is the precise positioning of Vicks. They say that it will remove khich khich, that uneasiness, that throat congestion and so on. And that is the beauty of this integrated marketing communication, which is following all through. You see, there are brilliant messages which are going on as far as this situation goes. Viko Vajradanti kind of. And have they changed that? Not much kind of. So, you see, there are several others, and you will find, you just go to YouTube and Google and try to be passionate about what we are talking here. Otherwise, you would not enjoy this subject. I want all of you to enjoy this subject basically. So, Zandu Balm, you see, same kind of messaging all through. Then we can talk about several other examples, and one of my favorites which I can't refrain myself from talking about is Bole Mere Lips, I love Uncle Chips. It goes on. Again, don't bother about my voice and the way I sing, but try and hum it right now, as you are watching this video, say Bole Mere Lips. You see, you feel like saying, I love Uncle Chips. And this is not just a jingle or a tagline, it is actually the positioning of the product, which is supported by integrated marketing communication. It has reached to the customer, it is going along, it is not changing at the end of the day. Now come to service, for example. Flipkart, how have they positioned themselves? What were the initial messages? You remember those messages, wherein two young kids are, posing as adults and talking to each other about the sale and those kind of things. Have they changed? No, they are following that. They are taking it ahead. They are going ahead, and that is what specifically they have achieved. So they are carrying it forward. It is going along as far as their service goes. Amazon, aapki apni dukaan. We have talked about it. We have mentioned that earlier. So it is going along all through. And you see, these are beautiful, because if you have created something, if you have developed something as a communication which not only establishes the product in its initial most phases, but also carries it along, all through, and many cases which we are talking about here, products are under growth trajectory for a very long time. And it's a very important part of our discussion here today. For example, Airtel. My favorite part was Mr. A.R. Rahman, developing that beautiful tune, and I just can't sing it basically, but go to that, and then they carried it forward in their caller tunes, they carried it forward in their posters, they carried it forward everywhere. Basically, they had a red backdrop and the tune, and almost everywhere Airtel capitalized upon that. Still people know that, still people remember that, and it's being followed, and it's accompanying everything what Airtel does. SBI, one of the most dependable banks, they have been projecting that they are dependable, and they are, and they have been effectively talking about that. They have not only been talking about that in their messages, they have actually capitalized upon that kind of messaging or integrated marketing communication for launching new products, for example insurance. And SBI Life has worked very well, although it is a different company as far as, but same brand name, that has worked very well. And then there are several other products which SBI launched in due course of time. The number of branches they have increased, or whatever, the footprint they have tried to manage, and the cards they have launched, or the collaborations they have done, and all through. So their initial messages have come along as far as the expansion of their business goes, and this service has gone a long way. Now one of my favorite examples, Tata's basically, and I have mentioned already about Air India, Mr. Tata welcoming back Air India. So Tata's, they developed integrated marketing communication in all the spheres very meticulously, very intelligently, and the reflection of their philosophy is carried along all through the communications they have made, through all the modes in due course of time, their advertising, their public relations, which has been a very strong kind of element as far as Tata's communication goes, and then their sales force, the reflection in their retail outlets or their offices, or whichever way you want to look at it. You see, it is a large conglomerate, ladies and gentlemen. They have done exceptionally well, they have served this country well, and today again, you see, they will be hopefully utilizing the same kind of intelligence as far as their communication goes in case of Air India once again. So I would not go on and on, just go to their website, try and find out that what kind of integrated marketing communication they have been using, and what kind of a communication has been accompanying them all through. And just to give you a clue, that when they universalize their T, the symbol, and they relaunched their tea actually. That was the time when Tatas effectively utilized their integrated marketing communication all through, and that helped in strengthening their corporate image. Their corporate advertising or their corporate messaging has been exceptionally well, and it has resulted all through. Tata Tea is one of the marvelous examples of as far as successful integrated marketing communication and so on. Now let us look at an organization and a product and a service. Facebook. Facebook is an organization, they themselves are a product and they themselves are a service in terms of I would not go into the details of why am I calling them as a product and a service basically, but you can go to the literature and you will find out that this can be categorized as that way. There can be some different opinions by different people, but just look at them. You see, Facebook, an organization, you remember them as what? As Facebook, which you belong to and you use. So, these kind of examples very specifically make us recall their logos and symbols, which actually are the carriers of their image basically. So, starting from developing those logos and symbols and projecting those everywhere, reaching everywhere, reaching to every eye, a specific F written in front of you, you just do not have to tell yourself what you are looking at. So, that is where Facebook's success goes. Google, we all know, and every time you go to Google's page, you might find some innovation how Google is written actually. That is again, that is part of it what we are talking. But Google again, they have several products and it is a service at large and it is an organization. So, you see, that is how things have gelled with these organizations, and then by this time you would have understood that what I mean when I say that integrated marketing communication is a strategic tool, and strategy is the reflection of a long term perspective of an organization and how integrated marketing communication is accompanying these organizations. Unacademy has done good in this country, they are doing very well and their messages also can be thought of with the same perspective. Byju's, they came up with very effective television advertising, it followed them through FM also, through one-to-one advertising also, through internet also and so on. And then they acquired a business and they integrated their business as well when they realized that now their integrated marketing communication has taken them to a stage wherein larger number of customers would not be difficult for them to achieve anymore. Now the subscribers are pouring in. So people are using them as a mode of education, so they went for it. Another very important example which I know very closely is Dainik Jagran. It is not only a newspaper, it is a newspaper which has grown despite of their very specific positioning or product characteristic of being a Hindi newspaper. They have achieved the status of being the largest read also. They have grown in terms of sales volume, they have grown in terms of advertisements from their clientele for their readers. But how did they utilize integrated marketing communication for themselves has been a very interesting journey for them. They initiated their thought, you see, everyone knows Dainik Jagran, so there is a specific positioning and Jagran is its name carrier itself. So, it reaches to the customer with its own name and customer creates a positioning through the reliability of such kind of modes of communication. Jagran itself is a mode of communication. So, customer has reliability and trust perspective associated with this product, but then they wanted to strengthen and they wanted to enhance, they wanted to grow, and there they said that Patra hi nahi, Mitra bhi. This is the tagline they brought in and then they projected this tagline along with a very beautiful integrated marketing communication, campaign or, method, wherein they came up with mailers. So, for example, a mailer had a pencil and a highlighter, pasted in that, and when the person opens it up, so they say that they are the highlighters actually, and that differentiates them from their competitors, and there they project themselves as what they are doing. Another mailer interestingly had crackers inside during Diwali time. So, they projected them as the sequence of crackers basically, creating larger effect. So, beautiful mailers were designed by them, then there were campaigns designed by them, there were hoardings designed by them, and they reached to their readers as well as advertisers universally by generating a perspective about themselves and an appeal about themselves. And in due course of time, I should tell you that they have grown as an organization as well. So, you see, that is a beautiful example, because you see, in this competitive world wherein you have several modes of news attracting you towards them, a newspaper striving to grow and attracting larger number of readers and advertisers is a tough deal. Then comes in multiple products by an organization. Remember the first campaign Hyundai came up with, suggesting that they make everything starting from nuts and bolts to whole of the car, creating an aura around them, emphasizing the fact that they serve the customers all through, and then complementing those with several kinds of models they have been launching, the service stations, their logos, their symbols, using different kinds of modes from newspapers to television to internet and what not. And Hyundai is doing well, they have done well all through. Maruti Suzuki, not to mention, is part of life of India. Maruti Suzuki is the leader, has always been. I give them this credit because their integrated marketing communication has been fabulous, and you can find several kinds of elements to be noticed in their campaigns. If you go back to from where they originated and where they have reached now, there is a coherence. Those campaigns, those messages are following them and their strategy all through, and they have positioned themselves particularly very well into the minds and the hearts of the customers. Recent examples definitely include Patanjali, and I would not be talking much about it. I have been referring to this example many times, but I want you to go for their communication in due course of time. And you see, the message is very clear. I want you to realize that integrated marketing communication is a strategic tool which is being utilized by organizations all through. And again, coming back to Dainik Jagran, it has become a universal product as far as its newspaper goes. Then they went for several kinds of integrations in different products, and they have diversified as well. And their integrated marketing communication supported them in that strategy. Today, they have FM station with them and many other businesses in the category of news as well as beyond that, and they are doing well. So, I will leave you with this thought of Maruti Suzuki and Patanjali and Dainik Jagran, and I want you to go back to their campaigns for let us say past decade or so, and I want you to realize that how those campaigns consistently have been following the strategic path which they have created for themselves, following their objectives and visions. And once you find a coherence with whatever we are discussing here, revert back through different modes which you can access, and I will be happy to answer your queries. Thank you and goodbye for now.